And we have on the line Professor Errol Morrison. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, Vernon. In good shape. In good shape.
You know, I'm not allowing you to retire. You know that. Let me tell you why. I believe that if you want Jamaica to move ahead, you must encourage those, and you must highlight, not really encourage you, but you must be known so that little boy from Chelonia, Manchester, St. Elizabeth can see what we can do. I'm very concerned that our country, we spend a lot of our time, highlighting those who are destroying the nation. And that is why I've called on you this morning, because every now and again, so long as you're alive and you can think, I'm going to be calling on you because the nation need to benefit from your wisdom. Of course, many of the young people don't know who is Professor. Let me give you a full title. Professor, the Honorable Errol Morrison was awarded the OJ in 2001. And I don't know all information, listeners, so I have to ask him to help me. He has done research and made his name, not his name, Jamaica's name internationally for the work he has done in terms of diabetes. As a matter of fact, if my memory serves me right, I think that you formed an association here and that he was expanded or extended to other countries. Am I correct, Prof?
Correct, yeah. We started that in 1976 and we spread by 1982 right across the Caribbean, involving the English, Spanish, French, and Dutch-speaking islands and territories. It was quite a dynamic thing in those days.
And the reason I say this is because oftentimes we believe only certain persons are ambassadors for the country, and we need to understand that the intellectuals too, not just sports persons and creative persons, but intellectuals have done significant work in helping to make the name of Jamaica known internationally. So now that we promote, we have no problem. It's that you personally we're promoting the work and the achievement of a Jamaican. And of course, he was a former principal of my old school, our old college. I call it old now, for me, I get old. I say UTech Jamaica.
Yes.
Great to have you, and I must say thanks to you. You have been very supportive of me, and I must tell my listeners I'm not able to do what I do because I'm brighter than anybody else. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of Jamaicans who believe in what I'm doing and they give me support. And I just want more of you to give me support. And that is why I'm able to do it. And that is why I'm able to get such outstanding persons to come on the program. Because it's that everybody has supported, and the gal this, and no, there are quite a number of Jamaicans. And you're not lonely, no. That lady over there in St. Elizabeth, you're retired, you can't take certain things. There are enough persons in this country who support good and who want to see good for our country. And that's why we have Prof. I've given a long speech about you, Prof. All right, what's on your mind this morning, Papa? We so have to go to the break, and you go right ahead, Prof. What's on your mind this morning?
Me? In terms of, you said in your ask-ons, looking at some of the warning signs, some of the indicators that you may very well have approaching the condition known as diabetes.
Yes, sir. When it's upon the highway are coming us, so we don't know. We see it, but we still are walking on the middle of the road.
Yeah. But, in general, there are a number of things that we in Jamaica, in particular, must be careful of. And when we're thinking specifically of diabetes, then the first thing I would advise all our listeners to do is to choose your parents carefully. in the sense that...
thanks for that advice at this point in time. Next time I get that chance, I'll be very careful, I choose my parents.
Because this whole tendency of diabetes is handed down largely along the family line.
Okay.
Mind you, there are many instances where it comes, as we say, out of the blue. Although that may not be true, because up to about maybe 50, 60
years Prof, I think you have me on speakerphone or using a headset. It sounded a little bit distorted.
I am on my cell phone.
Okay. All right. Continue.
You hear me any better?
A little better, but continue.
No, I was just saying that despite the fact that diabetes may be handed down particularly from parent to child, etc.,
Yes.
and that it can occur, out of the blue, so to speak, there are still, other instances that we need to be watching out for as we go along. Now then, first of all, one of the big things that we talk about is overweight.
All right, hold that point down. Let me go for the break, and I'm going to think very seriously when I come back on this earth that I have to decide who my mother and my papa is. I don't be kidding for my papa. So I have to think very seriously about that. Professor Errol Morrison, that's the man we talk with, the man who can tell anything about diabetes. I'm your friend Vernon Darby. You're listening to Redeem FM, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. The People's Program, the People's University, and the People's Parliament, spot on, where we are spot on. So come back, don't move. Welcome back to This is Redeem FM, and this is the People's Program Spot On. My guest is Professor Errol Morrison. Prof, boy,
Sir.
things are stepping up, so they eat out all of your time, but I'm not complaining. We have to give thanks because we need the support.
So I was doing congratulating you on all that interest. Shows your programs are well listened to.
Yes, we're picking up.
But I just wanted to, having moved from the inheritance concept,
Yes.
to just emphasize the matter of the overweight. And to let people understand that it's not everybody who is overweight is likely to get diabetes. It's a particular kind of overweight that is of interest.
Really?
I have a lot of fat people all around. They don't have diabetes. It's the abdominal fat that we're more interested in. Those people who have this big belly picture. And remember too that when you live in adverse circumstances,
yes,
or what you call stressful circumstances, or the city dwelling, you also tend to put on more weight around your abdomen. It's an internal mechanism that causes that. So those situations are associated with diabetes. It doesn't cause diabetes. Let me be very careful about that. But it certainly will aggravate.
Yes.
And when you see one, you may say, you see fire, then you can look for smoke. So that is very related. Then there are other things as you begin to drill down a little more in terms of two things to watch out for. Women who have a lot of babies, 3, 4 and more, or if they are heavy babies over 9, 10 pounds.
Yes.
That tells you that woman is either diabetic or moving in that direction. And if you happen to be a heavy baby, as they have a way of saying, I had a big baby on 10, 12 pounds.
You're proud of it.
The chances are that baby is going to go on to develop diabetes later on. Okay? So
hold on, take that, Prof. No, I'm sure it's the first many Jamaicans are learning all that, So that's why we need you. You have you more often, and you continue to talk, sir.
Well, I just enjoy talking because there's so much misconceptions out there.
Yes.
When you say it over and over, they still come back asking the same questions. So repetition is key.
I am aware of that, Prof. Yeah, repetition is important. I am aware of that.
Yes. And just finish off that little bit. Those big babies need to watch it later on. And in fact, the very tiny babies too. So,
yes,
in between, as you say, a rock and a hard place, staying within the normal range is, in terms of birth weight, is particularly important. But of course, we have no control over that. Is what
right.
And mothers who develop diabetes during pregnancy, quite often, women, during their diabetes, they didn't have diabetes before as far as they were able to determine. But during their pregnancy, it developed. The babies that come out of that situation are also more prone to develop diabetes. And women who have this pregnancy diabetes, as we call it, will go on within another 5 years or so to develop diabetes. Those are some of the common things that you think about. But there are a number of other little things that can really contribute. Because you need to be aware that, especially during what you would call the rainy season, or in Jamaica usually rainy or the dry season. But especially in the rainy months in particular, young people and even adults tend to get more in the way of viral infections and so on. We're just coming out of the COVID era.
Yes,
And
yes,
I might just
yes.
put it all in the picture that viruses can cause damage to the body internally and cause development of diabetes.
Hold on. Prof, take time with me, sir. What are you telling me? So hold on. That means all the chikungunya and all those things, sir. Is it possible that it
There
could
is
have
no
triggered?
reason why they wouldn't, because you see, where they the control of your blood sugar levels and fat levels and so on, which
Yes.
are the ones affected by in diabetes. That control center, the pancreas, can be damaged like any other organ. You get
Oh,
what you call a pancreatitis.
okay.
And they can go
Pancreatitis.
on to develop diabetes. We have known for years, long before chikungunya and disease, that certain viruses, even good old mumps, as you would all know, could
Mumps,
lead to
mumps, sir?
development of diabetes.
What is mumps, sir? What is mumps?
You remember mumps where you had the swelling under the jaw, yeah? And you had to tie up your head with that handkerchief or whatever. And as a young fellow, we would always hear, be careful of mumps, it can cause you to go down in your testes and cause infertility later.
Oh yes.
You remember all that?
You hasn't mentioned that, no?
Well,
No, sorry, take.
those foreparents were telling us
Yes.
that it could be a dangerous disease. So
Yes.
while they were looking at one organ in particular, other organs could
Could be
also
affected. By the way, do we still have it around, or that has been eliminated from?
Who's that? Mumps?
Yeah,
You
mumps.
hardly see cases these days, although I'm not in that area.
Right,
Doctors
right.
in general practice would probably more be able to speak on
But
that. But
I don't want to go off for that chat, no, but what caused it again, sir? The mumps.
It's a virus, right? That damages the what you'd call the glands that are involved in digestion early up, just behind the mouth there.
Yes,
And
yes.
they get swollen, and
It's very
as a
painful.
result, you can get a spread of the mumps virus throughout the body,
I see.
and that can give you a variety of other problems.
And I hope it don't cause, but some because there's lots of myth, I'm sure you've heard about boasts. I know that boasts don't have nothing to do with bounds of people. I'll talk about you can get boasts now, kind of. So you know what is boasts, sir?
This is the hernia,
The
hernia
hey,
of the
that-
blood
Prof,
going down into the scrotum.
Prof,
That's what boasting is.
Prof, you're intellectual. You're not supposed to know these things, sir.
But I hear it all the time, and they come with all kind of stories as to what is the cause of this boasting. Say lift up a tree limb and you get the boast. But it's a hernia. It's a weakness in the abdominal wall, and the gut pushes out through it.
Yes.
And sometimes the area that it will go into directly is the scrotum, where the testes are. But you can
Okay.
also have hernia pushing out just above your pelvis there, the belly bottom, as you might say, or even through the navel.
But guess
All
that no
these
time
are
is
various
going.
aspects of hernia.
And we have to, I hope we can have you back next week because we have to continue this diabetes thing. I bet you, sir, you never heard of this one. That if someone have boasting, all they have to do, I burn some bird feather and they have to run.
On that note, let us continue.
And therefore,
This is
so
what you learn.
I will tell you more. There was a particular minister who was known nationally, must be known nationally, and it was alleged that he had mumps. So whenever he had his public meetings, and those on the other side wanted to disrupt his meeting, they go there and they burn feather. And as far as I know, it didn't disrupt the meeting at all. The man continued to chat him. Boy, and that is why we have you, Doc, because let me know to that, the misconception, everything. Oh, it's all over the place, and we don't want that at all.
Yes.
All right. Any final point you want to make before you leave us, sir?
Well, just to remind your listeners that this diabetes is very common, It's affecting about 1 in every 4 adults.
Yes.
And what they need to be aware of is that quite often they don't know. Up to half of those with diabetes don't even know until some problems come where the eyes start to go dark or they get, heart failure or kidney failure.
A time trouble come.
Have to be very much on the alert. So even if there's no diabetes in your family, even if you're not overweight or you're getting any of those symptoms or eventualities that we have discussed earlier,
Yes.
be on the lookout. Have a check at least every year. And to not just a urine check, you need a blood test.
Well, guess what, Prof? I would love you to come back next week and tell us what to look out for.
Okay, yeah.
We have some things out there too, Doc. Where come you can tell us about that? Them say anyhow you follow, anyhow you say answer follow your urine, then you know there's something wrong. So lots of things we don't know. So when you come back next week, I want you to talk more about how when diabetes is on the highway coming. And I can give you some information too about that.
I love that. But
So-
interestingly, watching the answers how we used to diagnose it in the days gone by.
So that answer.
Tasting the urine.
So,
Anyway, more about that.
no, careful of that because somebody's going to taste it to make sure. Doc, let me tell you something. We have to take seriously, make joke. But guess what? I will tell you. It's all the medicine we talk today. All the listeners will remember, is the joke and link it to the medicine. It works. It works. Doc.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Errol
All the
Morrison.
best, Doc.
Next week we'll talk again. Please book that time so we'll talk again next week.
All the best. Will do.
Take care, my
Good.
friend.